everyone, and welcome to the Hi-Fi Preschool and Kids Weekly Training Podcast, your go-to resource for equipping leaders and volunteers to create meaningful moments with our Hi-Fi Preschool and Kids curriculum. Each week, we love to share practical tips, fresh ideas, encouragement to help you lead with confidence and impact. And so this week, we are going to dive in and talk about our very last week of February content. And we're talking about how God's love is faithful. So all month long, we've been talking about how I am loved in kids and God loves me in preschool. And as we wrap up this month, we're going to be talking about the faithfulness of God. But before we do, let's just lean in a little bit on that word faithful. And I'm curious, Crystal and Rachel, what is your faithful food place? What is the place that you could go to over and over and over again? You're never tired of it. Maybe you get the same thing every time. Maybe you mix it up on the menu. But where is your go-to place that you are loyal? People know you there. They see you come in. What's your spot?
My go-to place is a local restaurant here in Murray. Our family goes every single Tuesday. We play trivia and we eat. And we get the same meal every single week. And they put like our drinks out on the table before we even get there. I mean, it's faithful.
You are faithful to that spot.
But we love it. Yeah.
I love that. That's so
That
fun.
is so
Crystal,
fun.
do you have a go-to place?
It's hard for me to narrow it down because I have a go-to for like every type of food that I like. So if you wanted to ask me like, where's your favorite pho place or where's your favorite Mexican place? Like I could answer all those. But I guess if you were going to like twist my arm and say I have to pick one, there's a Thai restaurant called Isan Zap that's near me. And I have eaten a lot of Thai food because it is my number one food. But Isan Zap in Lacey, Washington, if you're here, it is the best Thai food, in my opinion. And I try hard to not get the same dish over and over because I've loved everything that I get. But there is one that I would say I probably get it every other time because I love it so much. It is Tom Kha fried rice, which I've only ever seen at this restaurant. You can usually get Tom Kha soup at any Thai restaurant, but to have that Tom Kha flavoring in fried rice, I tell you what, listen, when we are in heaven someday and there is a heavenly banquet, I 100% believe Jesus is going to be like, here is the Tom Kha fried rice from Isan Zap in Lacey, Washington, because it is so good.
Oh man, that's amazing. I will look forward to that. If that is at the Heavenly Banquet. I absolutely will look forward to it. I love it. My favorite place, there's a local place here in Nashville that is called Taj. It's an Indian place. And I mean, everyone knows us there. Like we walk in and they're like, yep, regular table over here. Yeah, uh-huh. I usually order the same thing. There's like 3 different dishes that I will go in between. So there's 2 different kinds of curry, and then there's like a tandoori grill, like from the grill mix kind of a thing. So depending on my mood, I will go in between the 3. But some good Indian curry. You can't go wrong. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's so funny that we all also have like loyalty to the particular dish, not just the restaurant, but the dish itself.
I split a veggie burger with my husband every single Tuesday. Yep. Same dish, same place.
That is so fun. That is so fun.
Listeners, I would be curious to know what your thoughts are as well, and maybe even something that you can share with your volunteers this week to ask them, like, what is their faithful go-to place that they are going every week, every other week. They're getting the same thing. It's always fun to talk about food and just places around town that we love. So would love for...
Really quick, I just want to toss in, if you do that by asking your leaders what their favorite place is, write it down because now you have a good idea for some different gift cards. You could potentially get them for volunteer appreciation, for birthdays, for Christmas, things like that. Very personal and intentional and super cool.
Such a good idea. Such a good idea. Or like a fun place to find for like catering for, if you have an
Yeah,
event that's coming up that you're like, where are we going to
totally.
get food this time? We've used Moe's every single time. Well, maybe try something new. Here you go. I love it. All right. Well, this week we are talking about a pretty big Bible story. We're talking about God's faithful love. And God was faithful to his people is the title of our story. And this is out of Deuteronomy. It's Deuteronomy chapters 29 through 32. And if you have read
Hmm.
Deuteronomy recently, you know those chapters are not short. This is not Psalms. So it's a big story. There is a lot to cover. But we really feel like this is such a valuable story for teaching preschoolers and kids this truth about God's faithfulness and his love. So, Crystal, walk us through it. What is the story about? What are the key takeaways? And then just, how does this really show God's loyal and faithful love to his people?
So, this Bible story, again, covers many chapters of scripture with lots and lots of detail. And what we've done with it is we've sort of taken a higher view of that 40 years that the Israelites spent wandering in the wilderness. So, we are post Red Sea, we are pre Jericho, we are lots of time there. So, just know that that's kind of what we're doing here. And what I love that I think we're bringing out in this story are a couple of things. Number one is the fact that God had made a promise to Abram, later Abraham, many years earlier about the growth of his family line and his people. So we bring that up that God made a promise to Abraham and then to Abraham's son Isaac and then to Isaac's son Jacob. And he uses this moment to say, do you remember what I promised everybody? This is still true. I am still with you. I am still going to love you. I am still leading you and all this kinds of stuff. So we see God's faithful love right there. Then we get to where we're talking about them being in the desert and the amazing things that happened. Their clothes never wore out. Their shoes never wore out. God led them by this big cloud pillar during the day, and he led them with this pillar of fire by night. It's amazing. It's incredible. But again, God is showing his people, I am with you. I love you. I am leading you. God warns them, hey, if you turn away from me, like there's going to be some bad things that happen. However, when you turn away from me and these bad things happen, every time you turn back, I am faithful to love you and to forgive you. And so we get these moments where we see that God over and over is reminding the Israelites that his love is faithful. And so Moses writes this incredible song that's just celebrating the faithfulness of God. And so, what preschoolers and kids are going to get to see this week is that God's faithful love is something that is contingent on him, not us. He loves us so much when we are doing well and we are following him and we are living our lives for him. He continues to love us when we're making wrong choices, when we're being selfish, when we are doing our own thing instead of doing God's thing. He continues to love us just like he did with the Israelites. And so it's a big story that really, really demonstrates the bigness of God's faithful love. But there's also this really personal, practical application to this story that the same God who all of these people, he was with them for 40 years and he did all of these amazing things. He is the same God who sees you, knows you, and loves you. And he will be faithful to you as he was faithful to them.
That is incredible. I love that. And it's such just so well explained in such easy bite-sized chunks for even us to understand. Maybe
Hmm.
you are driving on your way to teach in about 20 minutes, who knows at what time you're listening to this podcast. And that's why we go over these things. We really do want to provide practical insight to kind of help lead your heart as you prepare to
Hmm.
teach kids and to teach preschoolers in the upcoming week ahead.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. Okay, so Crystal, thank you so much. Rachel, I'm going to switch over to you for a sec. How can we kind of help preschoolers and kids learn about God's faithful love in a way that it's not a free pass to sin again and again and again. It's like, "Oh, God'll forgive me. Cool, I can do whatever." How do we help keep that the holiness of God, the reverence of God, and just the understanding of his faithfulness is not for us to take advantage of or
Hmm.
to to treat in a disrespectful way? How should we approach that?
Yeah, I think it's such a great note as we prepare to teach about God's faithful love because, um, you could just say, well, God forgives me again and again. He loves me forever, and I can do what I want and ask Him to forgive me, each time. And God's love is faithful and it's very, very special. And I love that you said reverence there because there is a reverence that we have for God's love because
Mm.
it's not just a cheap, I love this or I love that. I love my local restaurants. I love this food. It is so much bigger than that. And it's a love that was born out of Jesus's sacrifice, his
Mhm.
death on the cross and his resurrection. So I love the word that you said was reverence because that's what we want to teach is that God's love is faithful. He knows we're going to mess up. He knows we need forgiveness and he gives us forgiveness and he loves us. But out of that love that he has for us, he wants us to grow closer to him and more in his likeness.
Mhm.
And as we do that, we're shaped to be more like Jesus. And so it's not that license to do what we want and to sin over and over again because there's forgiveness. There is forgiveness, but the love spurs us on. It spurs us on to be transformed, to be changed, and to be more like Jesus so that we're not looking for the loopholes to do
Yeah.
what we want, but
Yeah.
instead we draw near to God because of that love and we're not looking for what we want anymore. Instead,
Mm.
that love draws us into him in such a way that we begin to want what he wants and we want
Mhm.
to live like he wants us to live. So there's a transformation with God's faithful love that happens within us. And I think that is the key to it not being a license to sin over and over again, to know that that faithful love is a transforming love.
Amen.
Yeah, I love that. I love how you talked about how it's a transforming love. And that really is what we want preschoolers and kids to see is in and to experience is that transformational love of Jesus. And when
Mhm.
that happens, then we're able to see the evidence of that of it's not about, how much can I get away with? It's not about looking for the loopholes. It's not about how close to the edge can I stand before falling over.
Mhm.
It is how can I pursue Jesus harder and faster and longer. And I think too, if we have preschoolers and kids in our ministry who are asking those questions, I think it's important to pay attention to that because that may be an indicator that there is some head knowledge, but there may not be some heart transformation yet.
Yeah.
And so even if maybe they've been baptized in 3 years ago and they were 7 and now they're 10. I think it's just important to pay attention to those kinds of conversations,
Mhm.
and look for the evidence, look for the transformation, in preschoolers and kids, and call that out and bring attention to it. So that's great.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of faithfulness, what are some of the benefits of leaders who serve faithfully? So I asked this question a little gently because I
Mhm.
know with all leaders, we are tired, we are burnt out, we need breaks. And I am the first to advocate for that, honestly. And I think honestly my church does such a good job and I'm so grateful to be in a healthy church that really advocates for rest, and respite for volunteers.
Mhm.
And we also know that there are a lot of benefits to leaders who are serving regularly and who are
Right.
serving faithfully. Maybe that's every week, maybe that's every other week, maybe that's once a month.
Mhm.
but you're faithful to show up week, whatever that rhythm is for you, whatever that looks like. So talk to us a little bit, both of you guys, talk a little bit about, what are some of the benefits that you see in ministry of leaders who are serving faithfully, and how can we encourage leaders to continue serving faithfully when maybe we're ready to not serve as faithfully as we once did.
When I was in leading kids ministry, I would definitely say that if I had to choose between a leader who taught really well and a leader who showed up consistently, I would choose the one who shows up consistently. Obviously, you would like both,
Mm,
but there really is something to leaders who are there on a predictable schedule because it means so much to those kids. I had one leader, he was the most awkward guy you would ever meet. He really has, some social skill issues, has a really hard time with friendships, and I mean even just all that kinds of stuff. But when I tell you how much fifth grade boys thought he was the coolest guy in the world because he was just there every single week. He hung out with them on their team. He would play basketball with them in the gym. He, like he wasn't above doing the crafts with them and all kinds of stuff. And as those fifth grade boys became teenagers, they would still be so excited to see him at church. And so I think that there is such a benefit to preschoolers and kids knowing that you are somebody who cares about them enough that you're just there, like that you enjoy being with them, that you're there time after time after time again, whether like Kayla said, whether that's every single week or whether you say, I'm going to be here the first Sunday of every single month, you can count on me being here. There just really is something to building those relationships when you show up consistently.
yeah, I love that. That's great. And I think to add to that, showing up consistently doesn't necessarily mean doing the same job consistently.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're showing up consistently and kids are seeing your face, but maybe you're only lead teaching once a month or twice a month. But just that consistency of kids seeing your face, seeing your
Mm-hmm.
smile, saying hello, saying their name, that consistency definitely speaks volumes. Yeah. Rachel, anything to add?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, to agree with what you both said, that your faithfulness matters. And I was just gonna mention that about a month ago, my youngest son fell in children's ministry and broke his wrist. And, and so he, we took him and he got a cast, everything was fine. It was just an accident. However, his teacher, he teaches every other week consistently, time over time, and he has moved with him in grades. So he's gotten to know him now for a couple of years, texted to check on him and to say, "Hey buddy, I'm so
Oh,
sorry you fell. Are you doing okay?" And Ezra said, "It makes me feel so good to know that people care about me. I love that
oh.
Mr.
Yeah.
Uri cares about me." And it's the serving time over time faithfully.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't upset that he fell. He wasn't upset that he got hurt, because it's just an accident. However, he loved and was so encouraged by that faithful leader who checked in
Mm.
on him, who's built this relationship over time with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there, Rachel. It's that relationship, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
that the consistency and the faithfulness leads to relationship. And so it's not just
Yeah.
a connection of I know who this person is, but it's deeper, real relationship, which is what we're always striving for. So yeah, keep serving faithfully. Be healthy, spend time in prayer, make sure this is what the Lord wants for you. And if it is, then dig in and hold on and trust the Lord. And also know that you don't have to do it all on your own.
Mm-hmm.
But the more that we show up, the more faithful we are, the more that we are able to build those relationships with kids, with preschoolers, that really makes a lasting impact in the long game, and not
Yeah.
just week over week. So well, thank you all for listening. Thank you for joining us. We're so grateful for you and honored to partner with you. as you are leading the next generation. So as always, be sure to check out the Hi-Fi Facebook group for resources, for updates. And until next time, keep inspiring kids to know and follow Jesus.